All right, guys, let's get into another video from the Video Vault in the Freedom Builders Academy here. We're going to jump into Freedom Builders Academy program and course, and we'll slide down to build. We're going to get into the build system. So this is all about the build system. Now, remember, we're going to get into the build system overview. There's about 36 other pieces. This overview is covering all of this list here down the left side, all the way down to our meeting pulse, and we'll get into that in the end. There's about 12 steps to this thing, 36 different videos, all kinds of tools, content, SOPs, structure here, and I'm going to go through the overview with you right now. So as I click on this, you can see this is about a 9-minute video. We're going to do this in 2 or 3 minutes to walk through the full overview process. As always, there is a link here to click on the SOPs for every one of these videos. We have attached documents, tools, spreadsheets, templates, etc., like this, that's here to guide you through and use in your own business. And so this is our SOP. Now, what's an SOP? Standard operating procedure. Every single one of them looks the same. We have the same format for each one of these. We have a date that it was edited, the roles that it applies to. So the different roles in the business that this particular SOP applies to. We want to sign off that this has been completed and up to date on a certain last edited date, and the purpose as we move forward for this particular SOP, just like with any other SOP. And eventually you'll see different videos and tools and things that we're sharing about. Likely we'll do one at the SOP on writing SOPs. But this is our build system. So let's get into the build system. These are 5 things to remember before we even start the build system. And like I say, we're going to get into the 12 steps about what the build system is in order. But number 1 here, before we even get there, is the 5 things we need to keep in mind and remember as we're developing our build system. Is number 1 is client experience. Client experience is weaved throughout everything that we do, including the pre-build system, our build system, our post-build system. Everything has to revolve around a better client experience. Now, why is that so important? Because it's the client experience that someone is willing to pay for. It's the how, not the what. So we have to focus on that. Number 2 is we got to focus on how's our team interacting and following through with this system in our build process here. And how are we using our software? How are we communicating through our software and communicating with our client? And number 5 is this whole thing is done and structured so that it covers our ass throughout the process, right? So incredibly important that these 5 things are top of mind as we go through this. Now, first thing, as we all know, permits. Now, one of the things that I think is extremely important is we're dealing with different municipalities all the time. Each one of the municipalities have different intricacies about their permitting process and the steps to get through it. And what we need is customized SOPs for all the different municipalities that you may work with. Now, why is that important? Because if you are the one doing permitting now, the only way to get you out of doing permitting is so that you can pull out of your head what's up here, get it onto paper. That's why we have SOPs, period. We want to create the systematized way of doing business so we can teach and train others to take things off of our plate, get ourselves out of the day-to-day so we can work more on the business than in it. That's a critical piece. So it's all about scalability. Everything that we think about, touch, and do is about scalability in the client experience. So permits number 1. Number 2, we're getting into awarding trades. Now, remember, we've gone through the whole pre-build process. We've onboarded a client properly. We're moving forward. We're starting a build. We need to be awarding trades. And there is a number of steps to awarding trades if we do it properly and do it in a fashion that we're going to get the best possible guys on the project doing the right things for us and following our way of doing business. And so that includes how we're using our software. Remember, using our software is intertwined in this whole build process. So whether you're using CoConstructor, Buildertrend, or any other software, we want to be, number 1, so important, turning our bid, our original bid and estimate that we've worked with a trade by awarding that trade into a purchase order with the trade. Now, why is that important? Because we're taking exactly what we've done in the bid process to turn it into a purchase order and then syncing it with, and you can see down here, we're syncing it directly with QuickBooks. And so our entire system is now syncing and working together like a well-oiled machine. That's extremely important. Why duplicate the work, time, and effort? Let's just use the system properly. And so that's number 2, is awarding trades in a proper fashion. Number 3, we get into, which we refer to as the one ecosystem job site. We want to set up our job sites with this one ecosystem in mind. Now, why is that important? We go back to client experience. We go back to working with our teams, using our software, communicating, and covering our ass in the process, right? Those 5 things we need to remember. It all weaves together, and we're using this one ecosystem job site. Now, what is that? This is where everyone's coming together, working better together, being more effective, efficient, and profitable together to create an atmosphere and a job site that's different than what we're used to, where we're all out there fighting for ourselves, just trying to get in and out, as opposed to how we work together to synchronize and take the build to a different level. Remember, we're building a home for a family. We're building an addition. We're doing this work that is far more important than us, just getting ourselves in and out of there, right? It's critically important. Now, how do we create that atmosphere? We suggest and advocate a pre-build trade meeting. Let's get our trades together. Let's meet with them. Let's have them involved in the whole scheduling process and making sure that we understand what they need from us and they understand what we need from them to make this work. And we do it through we have a scoreboard system of working with our trades, and a scorecard system, I should say, which in the end we scorecard throughout the project, and we use a scoreboard at the end to see how well did we do and how do we help each other get better in the process. This is the whole creation of that one ecosystem mindset. And so there is step-by-steps. Number 4, we're getting into, and this is where I refer to that 3X scorecard system between the client, the builder, and the trades, how that works. As I can't get into details, we'll be forever going through this, but you can see, if you think about scorecard system of everyone working well together, including the client, scorecarding yourself and your team, that's how you guys get better, by understanding where you have holes in the business and how you improve systems along the way. One of the big reasons we have systems in our business is to improve what we do. If we don't have systems and we're not doing things consistently, things are messy and falling apart all over. We cannot improve what we do not monitor and measure. So site prep being number 4, of course, site a safety checklist, site setup checklist. We love checklists, right? We've got to get ourselves set up so we're doing things consistently every time. We have a way of doing business. We want to create that way so it's very trainable and scalable into our business. Of course, we get into site survey if required, and we get into number 6, selections. Selections is such a huge piece. Are we using our software properly? Are we following a system to do this? This can get messy. This can cost us all kinds of dollars, and we have a lot of leakage that we find when we start with new clients when the selections process is just not properly dialed in. But are we using the proper system of selections in the beginning of the project and through the project with our client? Extremely, extremely important. Number 7, and this, like I say, is a 12-step process. Number 7, we get into professional photos and videos throughout the build. Now, why is this important? It's important because we want to use this material in our shock and wow package, in our sales package. We want to use it with future clients throughout the build. We also want to use it very strategically, and you'll see in our post-build system, we want to capture these professional photos throughout so we can create an experience for the client unlike never before, and we'll get into that in the post-build. So watch that video when it comes up next. Professional photos, critical throughout the process. We go through how to hire the rock star photographer, how we keep that, a lot of that information outside of your software, keep it in a separate drive. And there's a reason why we do that. And we also want to create our shock and wow, not just for clients, but for trades, because we want them to be moving through and growing with us in the process. Number 8, big one, massive one, probably one of the most important ones, is the cash management system of the entire build. And you can see this is broken down into several layers. And it starts with estimate and budget from the very start. And the second piece here is scoreboards, right? Now we got to start scoreboarding the build itself. We're keeping track of the metrics of the build. How well are we doing? Budget variance. Are we off on our estimate or actuals, or to estimates to actuals, or are we right on track? We need this for future projects. We need this to understand how well we're doing on this project, monitoring how well our team is staying on budget or not. And this is how we monitor, manage, and improve the systems around us. Cash flow is huge. I'll share this one with you because I think it's extremely important. Let me go back in here for a second. I'll click on cash flow. Now, this one here is, again, all of the spreadsheets and things that you need are here, but remember that each one of these, whether we're doing a client project or a spec build, we need to be measuring our cash throughout the project. How deep are we going into a project? Are we outlying more cash than we're collecting along the way? What percentages of cash have we collected to completion, or cash collected to cost to completed? And are we tracking our overhead expenses in our cash flow? I would say almost 99% of the time that we see our clients are not doing that. And this is a big injection point. We have to understand what expenses have we had in overheads over the last 6 months of running a project. If we're halfway through a build, say that, are we calculating the amount of cash outlay so far just to operate our business? So that one gets missed a lot. And we end up with this net cash situation. Are we plus minus on any project at any given time? And do we know that? So cash is so critical. And if you start multiplying and growing your business, you go from 2 million or 3 million to 5 or 10 and 10 to 20. This is where we get into trouble really fast. As we multiply, cash kills us quickly. So we have to be all over that. Cash, we run into invoicing and payment processes and, accounts receivable, collecting money, all of the tools and templates that we need for that. Remember, again, there's another 36 videos to cover all of this content. I'm giving you an overview, pardon me, the best that we can so that you can really see and understand the number of steps that you're actually involved in right now. We just might be overlooking or missing some of them along the way. And certainly maybe they're not dialed in like we have them here. Getting into receivables, payables, using a cash system for cash management in our bank account system, using various percentages along the way, not to, pull from Peter to pay Paul. That scenario gets us into trouble very, very quickly. We want to avoid lots of that. Now, we talked earlier about communication being one of the critical steps. This is number 9, is our whole communication system, right? So what about miscommunication or clear lines of communication? How are we working that? Are we using a change order system? Change order system is so critical not to leave cash on the table. I don't know how many times we see major leakage of cash with just missed change orders, not capitalizing on the right price, collecting the right money along the way, or collecting it far after a change has been done and not negotiating the right price up front. And therefore, now we have an upset client. So remember, client experience is absolutely number 1 in the 5 things we must remember along the way. Scoreboards, scorecards and scoreboards, I think, are extremely important in our build process. So here is, 8 different scorecards and scoreboards that we must be following throughout the course of each one of our builds. I've gone through a couple of them here in the cash plus minus, the budget variance, but there's others, right? Targets for draws is so critical on making sure that we know a month in advance of what work should we be getting done and collecting money on, so we can predict cash flow a month or 2 in advance. That's a critical piece to growing and scaling your business. So there's a handful of scoreboards here, and number 12 is the meeting pulse. Now, a meeting pulse, not just with your client on the build, but the meeting pulse of the organization. Now, here's 8 strategic meetings that we talk about. The very first one being your high performance team meeting. Number two being daily log update meetings, operations meetings. And you can see all of these meetings combine to make your organization come together to take it to the next level, which includes systems meetings, like just on systems itself. Now, if you have a small business, you have 2 or 3 people, you may have 4 or 5, you might not need all of these 8 strategic meetings. You might use pieces of them, combine them together. But the truth of the matter is to take your business to the next level and really put a build system together that works well and has this never-ending improvement mindset to it. We need all of these 8 strategic meetings, maybe combined into 2, 3, or 4 of them if we have smaller teams. As our team gets larger, we're going to want more of these and dialed in and done properly. Now, each one of these, of course, needs agendas to follow throughout the meeting, or we have meetings that suck, and that creates major problem. So there is our 12-step build system, start to finish, several points. Again, 36 other videos, guys. Hope this helps, that just create the mindset that what you're doing has a lot of moving parts. And if you want to go to the next level, we've got to think about how it can be systematized, keeping these 5 things in mind. Hey, if you want access to more tips, tools, strategies, insights, and podcast episodes, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. If you want to learn more about our program and get exclusive access to the video vault with all of the systems, SOPs, templates, tools, agreements, spreadsheets, and checklists, head over to our website at 4levelcoach.com. That's the number 4levelcoach.com/program. And you can check out more in the description box below, guys. We will see you on the next video.